What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Investing Bros Afternoon Show. You got a lot of Tim, a lot of zoomed in Tim right there. Let's back it up. Let's back it up. Let's back it up, T-Shroom. Oh, that's too far. Okay. All right, there. What's going on, everyone? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you guys. It is 3 p.m., and that means it is time for the daily Investing Bros live show. I don't know what's going on with that initial scene. Got a lot of Tim right there. A lot of Tim for your buck starting off the show. We got a lot to talk about here. And here's the thing, guys. I think I might have more control over this Bitcoin market than I thought, in the way of, is Tim Warren the new Jim Cramer? Why is that? Well, of course, I've been bearish leading up here for a while now. And a lot of my bearishness was justified and actually was working out. We were going down. But more recently, we started to pump. And go figure, the moment I start to turn and say, you know what, Tim? You were wrong. You need to go bullish. Things could get out of control here very fast. The market's showing signs at the top. Might be in. Now, we're going to cover it both sides. We're going to look at the bullish case still. We're still going to look there. But there's a lot of things piling up, making me think that 35,200 we hit early this morning might have been the end of this run. Not the end of the bull market. Bull market's still coming. Don't worry about that, guys. Still very bullish about Bitcoin's price long-term up and to the right. But that pullback that we thought was going to come at 30,000 and then 31,000 and then maybe 32,000. Well, it turns out we need to get to 35 first. And now the retracement looks primed and ready. We'll explain why using both news and the charts. But before we get into those nooks and crannies, make sure you go and smash that like button and hit subscribe to the channel if you enjoy some good old educational, entertaining crypto TA and news brought to you not only by me, Tim. I the Beholder disagrees, by the way. It's also brought to you by T Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T Shroom, how we feeling today?
Tim, I'm feeling better than I deserve.
That's a classic. That's a good thing.
Yes. We've been very busy, been very active, but this is technically the first live stream that we've done together since the precipitous incline in the price of one of our favorite digital assets, Bitcoin.
It's true.
So it's pretty cool. And I've got a quote here from one of our favorite digital asset makers, and it's right here. Never ask me on for an interview to talk about the price of ADA or how we are doing in the market. That's not something I care about or I'm interested in. Charles Hoskinson said that.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people forget about, that they don't care about the price. How does that make you feel, Tim?
He's been that way for a long time. Good old Charles Hoskinson. You got to love him. You got to love good old Charles. Good Chuck. But he hates when people talk about price action. I have found that he's a way more pessimistic guy when you talk about negative price action. I never hear him complain when people say Cardano to $10, Cardano to $20, Cardano. He never seems to have a problem with that. It's when you say Cardano to 18 cents, Cardano dropping by another 30%. That's when he seems to really dislike. But you know what? I still like the guy. I like his project. I also, one of the main reasons I like Cardano is because of this type of response from Charles. Again, it reminds me of that, Jeff Bezos-esque of back in like 2000, or maybe it was 1999, when Amazon stock was just depleted. And someone was interviewing him saying, hey, are you worried? Are you about to close up shop? Is the company going down? And he literally said, price does not dictate or tell you anything about how well my company is running. And I know it's more valuable than your stock would say, so I don't care about the price right now. Of course, it would go ahead and just blow up thousands of percentages. He became very wealthy on his own stock alone, let alone a very successful company for many other reasons. Yeah. But, it's one of those things. I think Charles is focused on creating good cryptocurrency, good blockchain. He's focused on helping people become that are unbanked become banked and be their own bank. So I love him. I love the guy. He does not love my price predictions all the time, though.
And it is, I'm glad you mentioned it, Tim. It is a hat on backwards kind of day. I've got my Chainlink hat on.
It's a good hat.
Piper has the same hat. So I'm trying to be as cool as Piper. It's hard to be as cool as Piper, and I don't know that I ever will be. But here I am, trying with my Chainlink.
You have to, listen, learning how to play the bagpipes scores you 4 million cool points right off the bat. At that point, you can literally do whatever you want to do and you are automatically cool. So Piper's, I don't think it's even statistically possible for him to become uncool at this point, being a bagpiper. What was I going to say? Another thing I was going to say about Charles Hoskinson, go back to the quote. We're going to talk about crypto here today, but I wonder if Charles is going to come on and do a show on the channel of one of the top Cardano analysts on the market.
Maybe.
You would think that he should go on the show of the top analyst.
Yes.
Wouldn't he?
I would say so.
Well, we have been named Cardano's top analysts here most recently in a couple posts. So that's all I'm saying, Charles. Reach out to us. You know where to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Better than I know how to get a hold of you. I don't have your number or anything.
I've got a second quote of the day, Tim.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there we go.
I've got a second quote of the day. This is a pretty good meme. It says how people think it's like to hodl, and then what it's actually like to hodl. Which it's basically displaying that there are many trials and tribulations that you will go through of a wide variety and diversity. It's not just one, challenge of maybe riding a bicycle, keeping with this analogy. It's riding a bicycle while also overcoming a pit of rocks or a forest or some kind of wire contraption or a ocean or a cave, right? It's learning to continue. It's really challenging your thesis, challenging your belief, which is a lot of what life is all about. Memes sometimes say more than quotes. That's what I'm learning, Tim.
Listen, that's a good depiction. That is what hodling is like, and it's pretty rough. We're going to get into some crypto content. I'm starting to wonder, we might be able to pump the Bitcoin markets back up today, though, because I'm going back and remembering some details, T-shirt. Do you remember last week, Brody made his appearance on the channel? He was coming in, doing his job, pumping the markets. He's been off for a couple of days now, and so the markets are correcting here a little bit. Right. But maybe with him, we'll see. He went down at like about 30 minutes ago. Is he going to have one of his legendary 90-minute naps, in which case he'll miss the show completely? Or is this going to be one of those good ones that's like 45 minutes to an hour, and he'll come on the show, spark this rally in Bitcoin? If you guys want to see that, hit the like button. Maybe I'll wake him up a little early. I don't know. I have that control as his dad. I get to dictate his nap times. Let's do this, though, before Brody comes on, just in case he does come on and it becomes very hard to do so afterwards. Let's take a look at the charts. We're going to break down a lot of stories, a lot of news. Let's go ahead and go to my screen, starting off here with Bitcoin. Now, guys, very explosive rally we had last night. We got to put out our video today at 8:30 in the morning, which I kind of covered a lot of the details. T-Shroom knocked it out of the park with his 9 a.m. live show covering the news. In case you were wondering, we've had about a 5% movement. After topping out here about 35,200, give or take. It's kind of the rough area where it got to. We dropped about 5.5% all the way. We've been as low as 33,200. So there's been $2,000 of volatility in Bitcoin. We're kind of hovering in the middle. And as the title suggests, we're going to be talking about the volatility of Bitcoin, the decision-making that it needs to make here. But I will say, there's a couple of things that we do need to talk about that I flagged this morning and needs to continue to be something we keep our eyes on. The first thing is this one right here. Fear and greed index shooting up to 66. All right. 66, guys. That's a big number, by the way. It's squarely in the greed category. It's also, when you go back and look at the history, especially more recently, within the last two tops we've had on Bitcoin, those tops were in July and April. Well, what do we see happening in April and July of this year, 2023? Well, we see the greed get up into the 60s. We then, of course, retrace, move back to the downside. So shooting up from yesterday's 53 up to 66, not the greatest sign in the entire world. You also then, as we get back over to the charts, this is something I talked about this morning. We have had bearish calls on the 3 daily chart. We've had them on the 2 daily chart. You guys see these overbots coming in. The daily chart. Come on now, daily chart. Load for me. Take your time. Daily chart right there. 4-hour chart. Hourly chart. We had been ignoring every single bearish indicator that makes its way. There we go, loading. We're now starting to move down with the hourly chart, kind of confirming this downtrend. But even when you come down to lower time frames, let's go all the way down here towards the 15-minute chart. This was one I've been watching a lot recently. You guys know I like to stay to the higher time frames, but there's something that has flipped here. So we're going back all this time, look at all the bearish indicators that we just kind of ignore. Now, every single time we get a bullish indicator, we get a nice little price movement. Not always the most significant, but it's been a good push to the upside. A lot of them have been lethal, even down here on the 15-minute chart. If you're looking for swing trades or things to get into, day trade, those indicators from Chart Prime, by the way, our charts are always brought to you by Chart Prime, have been amazing. But then you see all of this ignoring, overbought, bearish divergence. The bearish divergence actually played out pretty nicely right here. But look at this little Christmas tree ornament pocket right here. Overbought, who cares? Overbought, we'll respect that slightly, but then keep rallying upside. Overbought, bearish divergence, peak seeker, who cares? We just ignored them left and right and left and right and left and right. And finally, we have gotten an oversold flash here on the 15-minute chart, but you're watching potentially and the first ignoring of a bullish indicator that we have seen. Also, I flagged it today on my Twitter account. Some of you guys follow me. If you don't, go follow me on Twitter at Tims_TA. Also follow T-Shroom at T-Shroom. His is a lot simpler than mine, but you can find them in the link down below. We had a potential bull flag kind of pattern going on here that could have sent us all the way up towards $39,000. Guess what? That 38.9, which is, kind of just south 39, corresponded pretty nicely. Let's go out to the daily chart with the price prediction I talked about this morning. We're looking at levels. If the bulls do continue to keep control and we see an explosive move to the upside, I got to use my fixed range volume profile here. I do believe you're going to see after all of this gap, where's the first significant peak in volume? Right there at $38,800. All right, so we have even a little bit of confluence here. We're starting to form a bull pennant. We're matching up with a nice little range on the fixed range volume profile. I put it out there. I said, hey guys, there's a chance. Don't get your hopes up. This isn't a guarantee, but a bull pennant has formed. Well, guess what, guys? We're going to talk about the news that kind of crashed it, the news that came out that told us this wasn't going to happen, but we did not play out a pennant. In fact, we actually broke the pennant. We broke the support line. And, that's pretty bearish, but it gets worse. It gets worse, guys. When you break support and then you return up to it and turn it into resistance, that is very bearish. Now, clearly, Bitcoin's not ready to do a full-blown retracement. Hasn't even made it all the way back down to 32.7, which is where we made it last night after the initial pump, right? And there is still a chance things could change, things could happen, that we continue to move to the upside. But the momentum clearly has slowed down. We, for the first time in about 8 days, are actually making significant bearish moves and not continuing to push to the upside. And like I just showed you, you start moving towards the hourly chart, it's moving, it's starting to come back down to the downside. But you go out to the 4-hour chart, giving us next 24, 48 hours, not looking good for Bitcoin. You go out to the daily, not looking good for the Bitcoin. You go all the way out towards the 3 daily, not looking good for Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's officially over. I think I jinxed it. Of course, I go out this morning and give a lot of hopium and bullish talk and talk about higher prices. Wouldn't that be about right? That's when Bitcoin says, all right, we're done. We don't need to go up anymore. Tim's bullish now. Let's flip and go to the downside. And of course, now that I say all this, now Bitcoin's going to fly back to the upside. So it's really anyone's guess at this point what's happening. But when we jump into the news stories, I do think we are kind of finally, after 8 days, the bears are catching their breath. You can even see when we go over and we look at liquidations here within the last 12 hours, this is green. Green is not good when looking at liquidations, guys. It's pretty split, but 28.98 million longs have been liquidated within the last 12 hours versus only $25 million of shorts. You go up to the 24-hour, and yes, this is red, but look at that, $238 million. That's a lot of money that has gone back and forth. In fact, the entire time we've been tracing and tracking the liquidations map, we've never seen it this high. This last couple of months. Of course, you go back way further. There's lots of liquidations that happened in the past. But right here, we had over $176 million worth of shorts liquidated within the last 24 hours. But a lot of that has to do with not like almost 24 hours ago. Within the last 24 hours, we had $61.9 million of longs liquidated. What does that mean? The bears are waking up. Yeah, they got bullied. Yeah, the bulls pushed them around and just made ridiculous rallies here, blasting through resistance left and right. but it looks like the bears are starting to catch their footing. And this is where we're going to transition here. We're going to transition to some stories, and we'll do some TA later. I've seen people comment asking us to do different coins. We'll get to Q&A. You guys can ask some questions. We'll look at other coins. I definitely want to take a look at Cardano and XRP and Ethereum, because those are making some moves as well. Maybe even look at Solana. But for now, I want to transition to stories, and I want to start off with potentially the biggest story of them all, T-Shroom. I'm going to do you a solid, and I'm going to talk about it, but then I'm going to ask you a question. Usually T-Shroom covers the story. So
I can't believe it.
Tim turns bullish, and then he does the stories. What a day. What a day. Well, this is one that you guys should absolutely have been paying attention to. Of course, it's why it made the thumbnail. Kathie Woods. By the way, Kathie Woods possessive. Her name's Kathie Wood. I've learned this recently, and I do apologize to her for all the times I've thrown the S on unnecessarily. Kathie Wood ARK Invest sells $5.8 million in Coinbase, Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust shares as crypto markets surge.
Wow.
This is a big deal. Why? Because the last time that she sold Coinbase had, and I remember, I'm not saying this is going to happen again, but a 19% drop in one day. Does Kathie Woods know something that we don't know? And despite the fact that Coinbase opened up and technically right now is saying it's up 5% on the day, let's go to the daily chart right here. You will see that ARK Invest, after closing yesterday, let me take down my oscillators here for a second. After closing yesterday at $77.15, opened this morning all the way up at $83.27, made a nice little surge, and then whammo. Kathie Woods gets reported that she and ARK Invest, Kathie Wood and ARK Invest are selling their Coinbase, selling GBTC, and that is making the price go down. There's another story that is very bearish, but I want to ask T-Shroom. Let's go back to Brocam here for a second. T-Shroom.
Yo.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Kathie Wood? Do you think this is something to be alarmed about? Is this something that she knows? Of course, she has more inside information than us. She's a part of that team that's waiting for an ETF to get approved, the ARK Invest ETF. Does she know something? Is this a sign that we're about to get some bad news about ETFs, worse than what we heard about today? We'll cover that in a second.
No, I mean, look, she's not a hodler. I think that's what a lot of people forget about folks like her. Like, she's on Wall Street. Not actually think she's technically down in St. Pete, Florida, which is kind of cool. But she's a Wall Street mover in the spirit of it. So she's trying to make money for her clients, right? She's trying to return money to the investors. She's trying to make a return for those who are trusting her with their money. And so you got to take profits if you're Kathie Wood. So, that's the way I see it. She's not a pure hodler like the rest of us.
So here's my one thing, because Eric Wallen makes a good point. By the way, guys, Kathie Wood has not been perfect at calls. For example, she sold NVIDIA. He said Insidia, but I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith here, Eric Wallen, and expect that C was supposed to be a V. She sold NVIDIA before it went up 400%, right? We've seen several times where she sold and things pumped. However, this is what I'm kind of getting at. First of all, the last time she sold Coinbase, the next day it dropped 19%. Also, she sold GPTC, which, by the way, indicator, go to my screen here real quick, T-Shroom. It did the same thing. It's going to say it's up 5% on the day, but it created a gap and now has a red candle on the day. So that's got to close that gap. We're also getting overbought here on the daily chart. So there's a lot of things happening here that she actually has somewhat of inside information. Like, she is actively in communication with the SEC. She's even been one of the people that said recently she feels extremely confident that they will end up approving Bitcoin ETFs at some point. The question is that within the next 7 days? Is that by January 10th when they're supposed to answer? I can't remember who it was. Or is it till March? Like, do we see them delay and kick that one down the road and wait till March? Either way, she's very, very certain they're going to approve the ETFs. And yet, despite the fact that she has a lot of inside information, she knows what's happening at the SEC better than any of the rest of us does, she decides to sell after massive pumps in GBTC and coin. She decides to sell. Is that just profit taking, or does she know something? To me, that flags as a very real potential. She knows something that we don't know. But that moves us into the next story, T-Shroom, that's also very important. Why is this important? BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF disappears from DTCC list on latest update. Well, a lot of people have handed the blame or the praise yesterday to that massive out of control pump to the fact that we saw BlackRock's ETF listed on the DTCC. This kind of was confirmation. Oh man, the trains are rolling. Maybe communications coming out. Maybe we're going to see the approval happen sooner or later. It's real now. Well, that's been delisted today. And so, the prices of Bitcoin are not plummeting. They're not going down back towards 27,000. We're still above 34 as we speak, but we're starting to see a shift in the control from bulls to bears. This is a story that is pretty significant in my opinion. You also, when you go over here to news now, remember all the bullish opinion pieces we've seen recently. And I usually, when I see bullish opinions, I tend to turn bearish. When I see bearish opinions, I tend to turn bullish. But recently, we've had a bunch of bullish opinions and price just shot up. Look at news stories coming out here on News Now, just kind of showing you this is talking about Bitcoin. First and most popular story, end of longest bear market in history may be a sham as BlackRock Bitcoin DTCC listing disappears. The top two are about that. God candle coming for Bitcoin. BlackRock ETF disappears. Yeah, so it's there again. There's heavy speculation now at this point that this whole thing has been a ruse. Of course, Gary Gensler never said. We can go back to Brocam now. Gary Gensler never said something's about to come. This has all been a figmentation of our imagination. We've been listening to the likes of Morgan Stanley, Kathie Wood. Several different people recently have come out 100% certain that the ETFs are going to be approved. And I want to say that I'm saying it like I'm being facetious. I think they will be approved. But we even saw Hester Pierce, however it's pronounced. I've heard it both ways. Legitimately that time I actually heard, I think there's a recording of her saying Hester Pierce, but everyone calls her Hester Pierce. Either way, she's come out and said, listen, they should have approved this 5 years ago. I have no idea what's going on with the other members of the SEC. I'm not 100% certain that ETFs will be approved. I think that's a far-fetched thing, but I don't think that these ETFs are as done of a deal as people have been anticipating, T-Shroom. And if it's true, if rumblings do start coming out that there is a potential that the delays just keep on coming, that could be pretty treacherous for the price of Bitcoin. What do you think about that, T-Shroom?
Yeah, I mean that's what we need. That's what the market would need for us to see those $25,000 prices again. I mean, we drew the levels at the beginning of the show of where there's support now that would keep us from going down to 25. It's kind of like what 20,000 was to us last week. It's like, how do we get down there? What is the psychology? Because there just doesn't seem to be sellers in the market right now. Well, now we've gone up a few legs, and it's like, well, how do we get back down to 25? What's the thesis to get back down there? Yeah. I think this is one of them. It's gonna happen. Like the market is, all indications is that the momentum is there, especially with some of the stories we're going to get to in just a few minutes. But it's like, if I'm BlackRock, we talk about the composite man. We kind of wade into the forest of conspiracy a little bit, and it's like if I'm BlackRock, this is every opportunity that I have. I'm going to try to manipulate a little bit, try to try to front run. What could happen. This was my tweet about it earlier when I saw this news. I said, did you know what a DTCC list was before yesterday? Now it's the reason you're going to sell Bitcoin. And then you've got somebody here kind of reacting appropriately, in my opinion. So that's my perspective here is, what even is a DTCC list, right? It's just some friend of BlackRock that's willing to play ball a little bit and make something happen. Or, I saw in the comments actually down there, somebody said, this is 100% BlackRock pushing back against Gary Gensler, saying, trying to assert a little dominance without breaking any laws. So, it could be a couple of these different types of things.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. I think you hit it right on the head. Nobody knew what that was. I didn't know what it was until yesterday. I had to look into it when it happened. And of course, there's a lot of people who are using that as the precedence for why the price is going up. And now it's reversed, and they're going to blame it for why price goes down. But you hit it right on the head. Are we seeing what we have been discussing? It just happened at a price much higher than we anticipated? Are we seeing the manipulative actions play out? The pump in price to take some profit, bring the boat back so that these institutions can gobble up more supply? Because here's one thing I will say we have seen. We have seen mass attention and mass demand clearly coming in. I want you guys to know what we've seen recently, whether we go up to 50,000 right now or whether we go back down to 25,000 right now, we clearly are seeing the world waking up. We're seeing the institutions wake up. We're seeing the people wake up. People want Bitcoin, and they're going to get some, and it's going to float the price. Again, this whole movement has really, not that it was extremely low, but my conviction and the probability in my mind of Bitcoin going over 100,000 just skyrocketed into the 90s.
Yeah.
Whereas before I probably was hovering around 75, 80%. That's still confident. Just, there's things that can happen that change that. I'm over 90% certain we're breeding out 100,000. I'm sitting here saying, are we going to be flirting with 200,000? And then there's always the outside chance it just gets astronomically up there and goes towards 300,000, maybe even higher. There's a video that's coming out in Discover Crypto here in a couple of days. I actually was helpful in writing the script. I'm not doing it. We're actually allowing Josh with Jake to do it. He did a great job filming it today. I was sitting there with him. But if no one sells, and only 1% of all of these institutions that are filing for ETFs, if they just take 1% of their assets under management and put into Bitcoin, it's complicated math, so I'm not going to go into it right now, but you guys know that would put the price of Bitcoin over $640,000 per coin. And that's just 1%. Expectation is we're probably pushing a little closer to 3 or 5. Now, that doesn't take into account selling. That doesn't take into account, we have the U.S. government most likely is going to want to take some profit on some Bitcoin. Celsius is going to take some. FTX is going to take some. Mt. Gox is going to take some. There's lots of entities that will take profit and will keep Bitcoin from getting to $1 million this bull market. I'm going to say that with a decent amount of certainty. I'll give it a 1% chance we go to $1 million this bull market with Bitcoin, right? But if you guys don't think that we could have an astronomical gains, then you don't understand the real weight of what these ETFs will bring. And what we've seen over the last 8 days tells you the magnitude of how powerful those can be.
Well, I think that's a pretty good transition into some of these stories we've got, Tim. Did you have
Here's
any
what
more
we're gonna do.
that you wanted to show?
No, I'm good. I'm good at this point. I want you, though, as you lead in, because this show's a little different. Every single day is a mixed bag here in investing.
It is.
Some days we're heavy in the charts, and we're going to go back and do some charts here towards the end of the show. Some days we're heavy in the news. We just really want to help people better understand what's happening in crypto right now. But what's always the same that never misses? It's our trivia of the day. Brought to you by the Trivia Elf.
Yes.
Let's get our trivia of the day and then jump back into some stories. We'll find the answer and then we'll close out with some charts and some Q&A.
Okay. Yes. Trivia of the day. Tim, let me just break the news really quick because it's on my brain, but I forgot to Google it and have it up as a reference. Did you see that there is a sector ETF that was proposed by Grayscale?
No. Sector ETF.
Sector ETF for crypto.
Okay.
Okay.
So it would take into account a lot of cryptos, not just Bitcoin and Ethereum.
I think it was 120 different names. Yeah. I'll pull that up in a minute. It's going
to be a lot harder to pass with Gary still thinking that a lot of cryptos are securities, but I'm interested to see what it is.
Okay. So, yes, I'm glad I remembered that. Man, human memory is so crazy. I can't wait to just get an AI chip in there. You know what I mean? All right, let's get into the factoid. Which index is the oldest? Is it the NASDAQ? Is it the Russell? Is it the S&P? Or is it the Dow Jones? Let me know, Tim. And let me know in the chat, what do you think? The answer to today's factoid is, I'm excited to see all the responses.
Yeah, let's keep it here. So here's all I'll tell you. I know it's not the S&P 500.
Okay.
And I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to go to my screen and look back at the track records because I could do that and that'd be very easy. But it's not the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 wasn't created until the 90s. Whereas I know for a fact both the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones go way before that.
Way before.
I do not know what Russell is, if I'm being honest with you. So that one is sitting as an outlier in my brain. But I want to say NASDAQ, as old as it is, came post Dow Jones. I'm gonna lean towards D, saying that Dow Jones is the oldest. I know Dow Jones goes way back. Dow Jones helps measure things that happened back in the early 1900s, the Great Depression, everything else. I'm not 100% certain when the NASDAQ started, but I don't think it was at that time.
Yeah.
Unless the Russell is just something I don't think it is, I'm going to go with Dow Jones.
Okay.
D is my final answer.
D is the final answer for Tim. He's locking it in. Yeah. Tim, we've got another question for you here from Crypto Trades. He said, Tim, did you take profits? I want to know, because you were swinging that thang on Discord, and you're forgetting Crypto Trades. I'm the one who has the necklace that swings sometimes, not Tim. Crypto Trades, but yeah.
What a silly guy. This Crypto Trades. No, so here's the thing, guys. I told you the other day, remember I told you guys how pissed I was at this whole thing because I took my profits too early and I didn't want to dip into any more of my portfolio to take any more profits. So the pain that I have been in over the last 24 hours, because I took profit on Bitcoin around $30, Cardano around $25.50 or something like that. Ethereum right around 17. Like I took profits at levels at the time, of course, were good levels. And I thought prices going to the downside. My analysis was wrong. I told you guys I was wrong. But I didn't make the mistake of saying, you know what, let me go deeper into taking profits here. I went ahead and said, you know what, hodl in the rest. Going to sit tight, going to wait for that next dip, going to deploy some of my dry powder. The unfortunate details is my floor now has gotten higher and higher. Whereas before I was waiting on potentially 18 to 14 cents Cardano, still waiting on a sub $20,000 Bitcoin. Now I'm sitting here saying, listen, if I get back to that Cardano, I might just be happy to buy it back at the same place I sold it. Bitcoin, I still think 25 to 23 is a scenario to keep an eye on. But I'm probably going to buy some at around 32 just to be safe, probably buy more at 30,000 and then keep a little bit just in case we get that more significant dip. But no, Crypto Trades, thank you for rubbing dirt in the wound. All right. Would it be squirting lemon juice in the wound? That one really stings.
That's not what you want. I can tell you right now, that's not what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's coming from someone who.
But just so people know, you guys, if you guys are silver members, you will know, like literally within a minute after I buy or sell anything, you guys in silver will hear about it over there in our Discord. But you do got to be a silver member to hear that. So
that's right. That's right. And we're going to be switching over. Tim, this might be a good time to educate the good people. We're going to be switching over to Tuesdays and Thursdays being membership only.
Yeah, that's it. What we're going to do, though, that takes a little bit of explanation.
Okay.
And I guess after this, we'll do the answer trivia question, then we'll do the news.
Okay.
You guys are being awesome, hanging in here. Almost 100 people watching. So Tisha and I are talking. Just in case you guys didn't know, we both have lives. We both live and be there and have families and things to do. And on top of running the fastest growing channel in all of crypto, I don't know if that's statistically true, but we're going to say it is, Investing Bros, we also have full-time jobs we have to do. And so dealing with, with me, like having another full-time job, having my wife and newborn, and my wife just started a new job and she needs some more of my help. T Shroom has his job. He's preparing for matrimony. Of course, that's one of the main topics here on the channel is the wedding of old T Shroom. We both are extremely busy. And so we talked about this and we said, you know what, here's what we're going to do. Every single morning, 8:30, I'm going to be putting out a short video, about 10 to 15 minutes long, updating everyone on TA. T-Stream's going to be doing a 30-minute live stream covering the news every morning at 9 a.m. We have a fantastic community that early, and so he's going to be going there. So you guys are starting to get 5 days a week of content with those things. When it comes to the live shows at 3 p.m., here's how it's going to go. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we will go live here on YouTube at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's still 4 public live shows in the afternoons a week. Not the 11 a.m., that's still morning, but you know what I'm saying. Tuesdays and Thursdays, rather than doing a live show and then also doing our members only streams, because that's now an extra 2 hours, that's an extra hour on top of the day. What we're going to do is Silver Tuesdays. That's our silver members. We're going to have a Tuesday 3 p.m. live show starting next week. That is for our silver members only here on YouTube. So another reason to join. And then on Thursdays at 3 p.m., we're going to do our Discord gold members bro time, where you guys actually get to come on screen, talk with us. We discuss crypto, we discuss life. It's more intimate, relationship there where we talk and hang out and have some fun and laugh. And sometimes T-Shroom plays Geo Tracker, GeoGuessr for kicks and giggles.
That's right.
So that thank you for everybody who's been here supporting us. Again, we're still putting out more content than we were before, but this is going to allow us, especially in those afternoons, to keep our commitments lower so we can get more done. But the morning stuff, I'm super excited about. We're kicking that up. That's going to be super helpful to you guys. Super awesome for the channel. And hopefully you guys give us grace during that. I know some of you guys are going to be really disappointed not to be able to get Investing Bros on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All the more reason to join for $5 a month and get that silver membership. And if you really love us, $20 a month gets you gold and you get to be in all of it. So
Yeah.
You know,
Look at this.
see what
Look
you
at
think.
this nice comment. Marquise Sajak said the bros deserve 100K
Yeah, I
live
agree.
people watching your live shows, not just 100 fist
Thank you
pump.
for that.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for
that.
that.
Boom. Look at that. We're having fun.
Boom.
Love
Well,
it.
that is enough announcements. Let's answer the trivia question and then get into the news and then more charts. What do you think, T-Shirt?
Let's do it. The answer to the question of the factoid is the Dow Jones. Oh, guess look at the fact. Yeah, okay. It's the Dow Jones.
I'm
Yep.
back in the win column.
First calculated on May 26th, 1896. Wow. The index is the second oldest among U.S. market indices after the Dow Jones Transportation Average. It was created by Charles Dow, co-founder of both the Wall Street Journal and the Dow Jones and Company, which Dow Jones and Company is a rating agency, and they help rate. Like when the U.S. bond market got downrated, or the U.S. government as a financial entity got downgraded by Fitch, Dow Jones is another rating agency like that. And they do other stuff too, like lie to the public about statistics and lead to the financial crisis.
The essentials of the market.
Right. So that's a lot of fun. And I'm glad that you all joined us for the factoid. Have a great rest of your day. Just kidding. We're going to get into the news. You ready to do this, Tim?
Let's do it. This is going great. We got a lot of good news today.
We do.
And we've covered some of it, but we got some more. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We've got some news here, and we're going to bring it to you. Justin, CFTC commissioner, says the market is ready for a spot Bitcoin ETF, just adding to the pile of positivity on the big heap that the ETFs are going to get approved here pretty soon. Moving along into the biggest story of the day, in my opinion, but who am I but a lowly crypto hodler? Yeah. House Speaker vote. Live updates. Tom Emmer wins nomination but lacks votes to get gavel. Now, this is really key. Way down here, this is the important part here. Republican Steve Scalise, who ran for the top spot earlier this month, told reporters that Emmer said he wouldn't. Thank you, Tim. Said that he wouldn't put his nomination on the floor for a full vote until he locks down the 217 votes behind closed doors. So this is what we're watching. It said 4 p.m. So at the close here, where we're also going to get a bunch of corporate earnings from Google and a couple others. That's when the Republicans are going to go back out and try to get a little bit of a vote going here. Try to get those 217 votes for Tom Emmer. Now, I believe there's 9 other candidates running, nominees, for this Speaker of the House position. Guys, why do we care? If you're watching from Brazil, you're watching from Japan, you're watching from Germany, why do I care about the crazy American government? Well, it's because this guy, Tom Emmer, Congressman Tom Emmer, he could potentially get into that position. He's very pro-Bitcoin, and he has. There's been a lot of analysts that have said that he may actually fire Gary Gensler. That was certainly the tone that he had in the last House committee that had Gary Gensler come to the committee and kind of grill him like they grilled Mark Zuckerberg at the Senate. And so this could be very good for crypto.
Again, I want to clarify. I don't know if the House Speaker has control to full out just fire him, but there's things that he can do to either have him prosecuted and pretty much fired because he did his job terribly, or prosecuted and arrested for criminal activity such as fraud and bribery. Or, with that, the thing that, again, I'm happy if Tom Emmer gets it, right? He was my number 2. I was a fan of Mr. Bowtie, though. Mr. Patrick McHenry.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Patrick McHenry was the one threatening, because he was acting as the House Speaker, threatening the subpoena. And that subpoena could be absolutely horrible for Gary Gensler. And a lot of people think that if they actually went through with the subpoena, Gary Gensler might just resign, right? Also, by the way, can we address really quickly, did you see those awkward things the other day when the SC was having a meeting, whatever, and the constant happy birthdays to his twin brother, just another way to get people to say happy birthday to him, but saying over and over again how his twin brother was at the beach and that he was glad. He's like, my brother's happy for me because he knows I love my job and I'm doing exactly what I want to do on my birthday. But he said it like 6 times. He talked, happy birthday to my twin brother, Rob, and who's at the beach today. And I would be there, except I love my job. Like 6 times. I'm just like, what is the deal with freaking Rob Gensler? Let's get Rob Gensler in. Maybe he'll be better.
Maybe he's like trying to activate some like sleeper cell, and like that's the phrase that activates him.
But I'll say all that. That was just my side tangent. I don't think he can fire him. I think he can move the pieces on the chessboard that need to happen to get rid of him, whether it's a firing or a resignation by Gary himself.
Right. So the Speaker of the House, like the reason why McCarthy didn't do it is because he's not. That's not his game, right? All of these guys are kind of like NASCAR drivers, where they have a ton of different people sponsoring them, right? And by people, I mean interest groups. That's just the way the government works. I could have a pessimistic or a optimistic or a neutral tone on that. It's just the reality of most governments, right? So with Emmer, right? We're an interest group. We always bring up interest groups. We are Bitcoin. We are proponents. We are activists pro Bitcoin. Maybe you're in the chat. You hate Bitcoin. I don't know, but he is a politician. He has control of what the agenda is going to be for the Speaker for the House, right? He has control over. He's already the House whip, right? I guess he would have to give up that position. He can whip up a caucus that can then vote Gary out. Now it may need to go to the Senate and to Biden's desk to actually get Gary completely removed,
which Biden would veto it.
Maybe
chance given.
It depends, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. Biden might see that bargaining chip as a worthwhile chip to give up to get maybe what he wants, which he seems like he wants an awful lot internationally. We got some more news though. Tim,
I think he just wants some more ice cream, is what he wants.
Man,
and another beach vacation with Rob Gensler.
Tim, why don't you have a little bit of respect for the president of the free world?
Hey, listen, if you're president, you can eat ice cream and go to the beach. I guess that's what he does, and he hasn't been kicked out. So I'm assuming that comes with the job.
You're absolutely right. And I can't agree more. Let's get to some more news here. There's a lot. We still need to cover. So Eleanor Tourette, she's actually the one, I believe, who was early in breaking. She works for Fox Business or something like that. Probably has her bio.
She does, yeah.
Fox Business. She was one of the ones that broke the Ripple case victory, not the appeal stuff, like the actual victory. Anyway, news. Grayscale is partnering with the Russell. Oh, look at that. The FTSE Russell. I guess that's the London Russell. I don't know. To launch a sector ETF. Yeah, that's the British version of the Russell. That's strange. Cool. Sector ETF series, which would separate the asset class into 5 main indices: currency, smart contract platform, financials, consumer and culture, probably NFTs, and then utilities and services, and will include coverage of over 150 protocols. So that's this hat is so tight. So that's pretty awesome. I don't know, again, what that's actually going to pan out to be, and if that's going to affect people in the United States, because this is happening over on the FTSE, which is England or UK. So, but that's interesting. That would be a first to go ahead and collate to bundle all these assets like you would with the Dow Jones, and that's why we had it on theme today with the factoid of the elf's devising, not mine.
Yeah. I mean, he works closely with you, so he knows the topics coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's tough because he only speaks Portuguese, so it's like I don't at all. So we barely get it done every day.
Google Translate is a great thing, though.
It is. We use Yahoo Translate, but yes. Bankman-Fried asked attorney to come up with explanation for an $8 billion hole. His former general counsel, Can Sun, testified about Bankman-Fried's allegedly instructing him to come up with a legal explanation for an astounding $8 billion hole in Alameda's research's financial records. So, Tim, here's what I would ask you is like, what would you do if I came to you one day and said, hey, Tim, I need you to come up with a reason why all the cameras are missing from Discover Crypto. All the cameras are gone, and the entire AC system has been ripped out and gutted. So that's not there anymore. Just if you could just stay a little bit later today, just come up with an explanation for that. All right, I'll see you this weekend, golf course, right? And then I was just out. What would you do? What would you say?
How much are you paying me?
I'm paying you as much as FTX was paying their general counsel.
It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, probably. I don't know where the joke is going, because obviously I wouldn't do it. But for the sake of, I think, what you want to say, I would tell them that Smay snuck into the Discover Crypto office and stole all the cameras the way little tricksy little Smays do.
Right. Yeah. It's just insane. It's insane. Yeah. I mean, putting your legal counsel in that kind of a situation is just, I mean, I tried to make the comparison here, but it's so outrageous, even Tim can't even comprehend it. So it is crazy, guys. Tim, what did you think of that story?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious to me. It's like the incompetence of SBF. I go back to a take that I gave a little bit after he was arrested. I don't think he's as intelligent as people have given him credit for. He was like hailed as like the wonder kid of crypto, this young guy who's just brilliant and he's crafted together this great crypto company and he's doing everything right and he's going to take over the world. I think he was the fall guy. I think we might be dealing with a below average intelligence human being in SBF. I think he was given talking points, but I also would not be surprised if all the conventions he went to where he was interviewed, what if the entire conversation was pre-scripted and he knew how he was supposed to answer? Because the way he's acted over the last year since being arrested has been the most unintelligent human being actions I've ever seen. It makes you wonder, man, how much have we given this guy credit for that he did not deserve? I think this just shows his incompetence, that he thinks that he could tell a lawyer. He didn't even give him a direction. He just said, hey, man, I lost $8 billion. Come up with an excuse for me. That's so lazy and stupid. I don't even know how to comment on it any further. That was my thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my thought as well. Just the level of incompetence is not a bad word. I mean, it doesn't seem perfectly a perfect fit, though. It's like nonchalant incompetence, just lack of regard for how a business operates.
Too busy going down to the farmer's market to pick up some more cucumbers.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
good way to put it. Well, there's more news. Nothing quite as big as the House race for that, but there is another campaign going on over in Argentina. We'll just do this one briefly because we covered it this morning. But essentially, there's a runoff vote that's now going to be held on November 19th. This is for the Argentine is it presidency, I believe, presidency. Why do we care about this? Well, because this man right here has said that he would end the central bank of Argentina, and he would also institute something similar to what El Salvador and the Central African Republic have done in making Bitcoin legal tender. Now, a big variable in all this is that Argentina's inflation rate is at 140%, Tim. What do you think? Do you think Jerome Powell would be hiking rates if he was working over there in Argentina?
I think he would quit. That is not a job I don't think anyone wants to have. And more than likely, the way you get a currency to be inflated by 140% is massive manipulation and corruption inside the government. So, yeah, Jerome Powell, I think I will give him that credit. I haven't been a fan of everything Jerome Powell does, but I think he would be raising rates for sure. But don't they also have like 115% interest rate right now? It's funny. Yeah. Their interest rate is astronomically high, but still is not enough to counteract the inflation that's happening.
It's out of control. They're a perfect candidate for Bitcoin.
Oh, absolutely.
The alternative would just be to adopt the dollar, and I think a few South American countries have done something similar. But I actually I have a contact down there. He's another kind of marketing, productions guys, and they say that a lot of times it's very easy. You just go to like cafes or you go like meet somebody at a train station or something, and you just like you send them on whatever app they have down there. You send them dollars or like Argentine dollars, and then they'll give you Bitcoin back. But you have to or you hand them physically and Argentine dollars, and they send you Bitcoin, something like that. And that's what people do for big transactions. And I'm talking about like TVs and refrigerators, not like a ham sandwich or something. So that's not what I'm talking about.
I don't envy the job of any government official in Argentina that's going to try to fix the mess that's going on down there. No. But you know what I do envy, T-Shroom?
Brody getting to take a nap.
He's just conked out, this little man. I think he's taking one of his 90-minute naps.
Wait, did I guess what you envied?
No, that was not the right answer. I was just showing little Brody.
I am highly in tune with Tim's envies.
Yeah, I envy the fact that I didn't get to take profits at higher levels on the charts. And speaking of charts, let's go back into some, and we'll start to answer some Q&A. For example, MLFL said, "When Smay?" I don't know when Smay. I actually haven't talked to him in probably about a month.
2.5-hour phone call with Smay last week.
You did.
We were talking about, we got deep about the future and religion and AI and all that kind of stuff. He wants to do like a interview. We should do like guys, we're going to be launching a interview with Crypto Seth Thursday. We should just have Smay come on one of those that we film.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Investing Bros community would love a Smay interview. Some of them might not know who he is, and that's all the better. Watch it and find out. You will not be disappointed in the Smay. Let's do some TA here. We got some Cardano TA in the drive, ready to go. Of course, guys, we know we've been talking about the breaking out of the falling wedge pattern. We broke through this level of resistance, this downtrending level of resistance from August and early October. We broke all the way up towards 29 cents. In fact, let me go ahead and pull out some Chart Prime indicators here. We kind of got perfectly on the daily chart, kissed that red wave, came back above the dynamic reactor, and yet now we're back down right at it. You guys know I talked heavily about the 28 cent potential resistance for Cardano. Yes, we wicked above, but on the daily chart, again, it doesn't matter where you wick because not always do you candlestick. That's not the saying, but I wanted to say it. Closing in right here, if we close today, staying at that dynamic reactor, we're staying below it and it's being used as resistance here. So keep your eyes there. You also will notice something that I absolutely hate. I hate that I have to discuss, but did you guys see that volume histogram right there at the bottom of my screen? The big red one.
That's thick.
Look at the candle. That's not a very big candle, and it's a very red candle, and it's a doji. Well, dojis even by themselves are usually reversal candles. But when you see that much volume and that little of price action, that's a wrestling point. That is more often than not after a pump, a reversal to the downside, after a fall, a reversal to the upside. Guess where we've seen this before? We saw it back here on October 2nd. What happened? Price rallies here for 4 days. We hit the level of resistance. We fall back down. It happened back here. Only this time we actually had a reversal to the upside. Big red histogram because the candle ended up closing red, but not as big of a candle on the red side, reversed to the upside. Same thing right here. Big red histogram, small red candle. That's a decent sized candle though, but reversal to the upside. And of course, right back here we got this is a green one, but these two worked in combination. Big histograms, big candle too, but smaller candle on the second one, reversed. You get my point here. I don't love seeing small price action candles, big volume indicator, or big volume histograms. More often than not, that's reversal, not a confirmation of move to the upside. So where's Cardano coming back to? Well, the first answer, would be a retracement back down to this descending level of what was formerly resistance, can we turn to support? Probably somewhere back in the range of about 27 cents. So watch out for potential good buy spot there on Cardano. If we lose 27 cents, I think it's a pretty realistic expectation to drop all the way back down to 24 cents, which has been the strong support. But hey, maybe we continue to avoid that fall below towards 18 cents that I predicted earlier, that I'm still holding out that there's a chance it happens, but the probabilities have definitely decreased with now setting a higher high here since all the way back here. We have not set a higher high in Cardano since all the way back in April. Lower high, technically still lower high, even though it was close. Lower highs all the way. Now we have a new higher high. Good for Cardano, but again, it might, just as we get excited about it, might be going away. You guys will see here on the daily chart flashing that overbought signal. These overbought signals on Cardano on the daily chart have been lethal. Very good calls if you're wanting to short or take profit on Cardano. That right there, bad indication. You don't love to see it. XRP doing some interesting stuff here to really show you what's going on. Let's go all the way down to the hourly chart. Let me pull down the oscillators here. Now, XRP, very explosive last day after first rejecting at that 55.7 cent range, which is, whenever I always said 55 cents back then, guys, I was always saying 55.7. I just didn't want to say the 0.7. Well, 55.7 is the bottom of, now I got to go out to the daily chart to show you the significance of this, was the bottom of that former resistance level / what I was calling support level. Well, we got right up to it on the hourly chart here earlier. Was this? No, this was yesterday on the 23rd. Rejected right there, came back down, but used the former support level. Guys, remember the ascending triangle we discussed with XRP for so long, but then we lost it, turned it into resistance, but then yesterday turned it back into support. Very, very bullish. Then made a push above 57 cents, the top end of that resistance zone. stayed there for about 2 hours, and then we dropped all the way back down. So right now we're still hovering, wrestling with all of this, but it's sitting right now right below 56 cents in a decision point. Let's kind of see what the oscillator is saying. Hourly charts, most recent flashes were all bearish. Let's move up though. 4-hour chart, we're still in the overbought flash. In fact, here more recently, we just got the dot, the reversal dot on the trend fusion oscillator, and I'm going to just go ahead and assume the daily chart. Oh, look at this. Daily chart has not flashed overbought yet, but I would expect at least another triangle to come in here very, very soon. You're not going to get bearish divergence because you can see prices are closing higher and the oscillators are closing higher. So not bearish divergence, but I would not be surprised. Just like I'm looking at Cardano and looking at Bitcoin and kind of seeing, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see overbought flash up there as well. Let's take a look at Ethereum here really quickly, and then let's keep an eye on chat, T-Shroom, any Q&A we want to answer. Overbought flashing here for Ethereum, but we did make a nice spike up here to 1850, setting, just like Cardano, a higher high that we have not done. Come on now, take down our oscillators so we can see more price action. Setting in a higher high that we had not seen more recently. Now, we're still lower than this high, and I would say that in the major trend, this is what you're kind of looking at. So this is technically not a higher high for Ethereum during this bearish trend. Let me grab my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This move has kind of been like this. So we set our higher high, low, which was higher than this one back here, but I'm not going to count that one. Lower high, even though we hit it back here, you really are coming all the way back here. And then we could see Ethereum get all the way up here towards 1900. Would not be surprised. It could continue to push, even though we're seeing those bearish reversals. Let's take a look here. That would be at the top range of the red wave. Maybe not going to happen, but could be interesting to watch if we hit that red level of resistance. But guess what, guys? We need to break that to get any bullishness. We need to get above $2,025 for some real confirmation of a bullish trend here on the daily chart. Yeah, it's good to break through dynamic reactors. Yeah, it's good to get up here towards 1900, but Ethereum is still not necessarily in a place of a lot of bullish strength the way we are seeing Bitcoin. Like, again, is Bitcoin going to reverse? There's a lot of signs that say it could. There's some signs that say it won't. Don't like this. I don't love how far over the red wave we are on the daily chart. In fact, I was kind of looking at this earlier today. You just never see this. We barely got above it back here in January of 2023, but we quickly corrected there. You didn't even in the bear market get below the green wave here. I think maybe there's one wick right there that technically goes below, but you don't see this happen very often. And when you do, like for example, when we did it back here, in January of 2021, we ended up having even though this was a bull market, a pretty stern correction of 32%, right? So this, again, that was happening when the red wave was moving to the upside. I don't see this really ever happening when the red wave is moving sideways. In fact, the only time, here you go, broke the green band here on Bitcoin when all the way back in March of 2020. What was happening there? COVID, meaning it took a black swan event to break below the green band, and then it quickly shot back up to the upside, right? There's nothing about this indicator that means, oh, yep, this happened, therefore we have to go back to the downside. But this is not a great look here to be that far overextended above the red wave. It's another thing that kind of adds to my bag of saying, hey, is a correction coming? We're continuing to hover right there at 33.8. But my point here, major bullish moves on Bitcoin. I kind of got sidetracked there. Ethereum, not so much. Yeah, we've had a good rally. Yeah, we've kind of stopped some bleeding. Bitcoin dominance is back down below 54. I bet you if I come over here and take a look, well, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. Let's take a look at the last hour. We're slowly kind of finding some support here on the ETH over Bitcoin chart, kind of in areas I talked about us doing so. We've had a reversal flash here come very soon. 4 hours. Let's see here. I bet you we're going to get overextended, oversold on the 4-hour chart. Well, it's not getting oversold flash, but we are getting that green reversal. Hourly chart, I'm sure, is flashing oversold. Yes, it absolutely is. I still think that we're seeing bullish divergence daily chart. I still think we're seeing Ethereum over Bitcoin that has been bleeding. Look at it, well below that green wave. A lot of times you see those, there's like a rubber band type of effect that snaps right back up there. Look at all those green histograms right here coming in on the MVP oscillator from Chart Prime. Those are great symbols of buy. We saw them back here, back in June. We saw an uptick in ETH over Bitcoin back there. We saw it right here in March. We saw an uptick in Ethereum over Bitcoin back there. So As a whole, nothing's 100%, but I think we're going to see Ethereum gain back some on Bitcoin. Does that mean both of them drop, just Bitcoin a lot faster? Does that mean Bitcoin stays still and Ethereum rises? Does that mean they both go up, but Ethereum just outpaces them? All of those are potentially possible. But when you kind of add all this TA together, you look at things like Kathie Wood selling things that she would have information about. You look at things like the Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock having the ticker removed from the DTCC. We're seeing news and charts tell a story of, guys, it's been an amazing last 8 days in the crypto space for bullish action. But everything that goes up at least retraces and finds support and a healthy market. And I think we're going to see the beginnings of that. The question is, how low do we have to go? Probably not a question of, do we have to go lower? We always are going to go lower. We're always going to have retracements and go up and down and up and down and up and down. The goal, though, is to always be setting higher highs and higher lows. You can go off my screen here, T-Shroom. We can start investigating chat. It's 4 p.m., which means let's get one question and close it out today. Brody is still sleeping sound. Actually, his eyeballs are opening.
Uh-oh.
Right at 4 p.m. What a guy.
I've got a little bit to add to the TA today. So taking a look at Ethereum on the monthly, you guys know how I love my monthly Bollinger Bands. Bitcoin, it was found not perfect, but very, very good support right here on the midline of the Bollinger Band on the monthly, right on the Kraken charts. Right here on Ethereum, it has not even, it's wicked above the midline of the Bollinger Band, but it's really flirting with it right now. That live market price is really flirting with that midline of the Bollinger Band on the monthly. So if we can break up above that, I think that could be it has not printed a candle above that midline of the Bollinger Band yet that has Ethereum. Ethereum has not. Whereas Bitcoin actually printed was a bearish candle, but in the month of July, it printed above that midline. So, signals more bullishness for Bitcoin. Obviously, that's kind of been obvious. It's been the narrative. But that's the one that I'm paying attention to as well out on the monthly chart. So,
yeah. Well, let's close it up here. Last question from Matt C. He says, is there a bro time today at Tim Moore and at T-Shroom? And guess what? There is. Give us 15 minutes. I'm going to go get Brody. Brody's going to be part of our silver members bro time. If you guys want to be a part of that, go to YouTube, like on your computer, hit join, hit that silver membership or gold. Or if you really want to be a supporter of the channel, hit diamond, even though we don't have all of our stuff out for that one just yet for the rewards there. But hit that. Come join us here. We're going to be going live in about 15 minutes here on YouTube, but it's members only. On your way out, though, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and we will see you guys in bro time and the rest of you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.